following video is a short watercolour painting tutorial from my Patreon. I'm adding it to my YouTube channel to promote my Patreon a little, so if you're interested in finding out more, I'll leave a link in the description beneath the video. Other than that, I hope that you enjoy the tutorial and let me know if you intend to give it a go. I've been working on some miniature landscape paintings this week in watercolour, and I enjoyed it so much, and I thought it'd be an easy tutorial for you all to have a go at if you wanted to. I think even the beginners amongst you would be okay with giving this a go. So to start off with, what we do is we tape around the edge of the paper. So you can see I've got two smaller pieces of paper here and one slightly larger one, but they're all going to be pretty small paintings. I get the washi tape. This is a really thin washi tape, by the way. I can't remember where I got it from, but it's good for these tiny pieces. It's about, I would say, maybe 2/3 of the width of a normal washi tape. But I mask off so that it will create a really nice crisp white border when I take the tape off at the end. And of course, you don't have to worry when you're painting about getting a neat edge because the tape will do it all for you. So I start off with the sky. So I'm using the Wallace Seymour Payne's Grey, and this is a lovely sort of purplish Payne's Grey. Really pretty colour, very deep, very rich. And because this is going to be a night sky, I decided to use this lovely colour. I started by just kind of marking in where the moon was going to go, and then I work around that until I've filled in the whole of the sky. You'll just need to neaten up your little moon a bit. You can be as precise as you like or not, it doesn't really matter. You know the way I paint, I tend to be pretty precise, so I like to kind of fiddle around a bit. At this stage, I like to just add a little bit of extra water to the sky and I kind of swish it around a bit. And it means that when it dries, you'll be left with a slightly uneven colour, and I think that adds a bit more interest. For this part, you'll need some different shades of green. I'm using a couple that I have from Wallace Seymour. I was aiming to paint most of these landscapes with my Wallace Seymour watercolours and then just add gouache on top, so that's what I did. I started with a really dark green, and you just need to just basically fill in some bush or tree shapes. You don't have to be too precise. You need them to be uneven and natural looking. So you'll see as we go, I just keep adding more and more, and I'll move on to a different shade of green in a moment. But I also like to leave them to dry because you'll want the paint to run a little bit. There'll be a little bit of wet in wet during this, but I tend to want some of them, particularly the ones at the front, to be quite defined, so I leave those to dry for a few minutes. I thought at this stage I'd just show you the Payne's Grey, and there's a little bit that I've got mixed up here on the palette. You can see all of the beautiful pigments in this paint. So here I'm just going to start adding a slightly different green, And we'll just build those bushes up, or those trees, just build them up bit by bit. And as I said, you don't have to be too precise. Just try to keep it as natural looking as possible. For my trees, I used 2 shades of green. I used a very dark green and one that was slightly more grey-green and granulating. And what I did at certain points was I added a little bit of the darker green into the still slightly damp, lighter grey-green, and it creates a really nice effect. So you might want to try just experimenting with a little bit of wet in wet. When the trees are dry, I like to add the grey for the mountain, and I also like to lift off some of the grey because you want this to look like a moonlit hillside or mountainside. So when you apply the paint, you can either get some kitchen paper and just gently lift some of the grey off, or you can go back in with a clean wet brush and lift it off that way. But it just adds a really nice lighter effect and looks like the moonlight is reflecting off the hill. At this stage, I'd left the paintings to dry completely for a while, and then I started adding all of the details over the top in gouache. So for those of you who don't know, gouache is a much more opaque watercolour, so it's brilliant for going over the top of watercolour. I often like to do the background or the main part of the painting in watercolour, and then I'll add gouache details over the top. So I had 3 different greens. They were lighter and brighter than the greens I'd used for the main part of the painting. And yeah, just add lots of different dots and dashes and branches. So just go to town, add loads of different patterns and bring some life to those trees and bushes. I'm going to stop talking now and I'll just let you watch what I'm doing. So here's the finished piece, and I hope this video has inspired or encouraged you to have a go at something like this yourself. You can actually choose to leave these pieces without adding all of the details on top. I think they actually look quite nice like that as well. I'm about to show you that here. I left the 2 smaller ones just as they were, but I will add some details to them. But yeah, it's a possibility if you like a more simple look for the painting. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.